Hello and welcome back to Unreal Engine 5 Blueprint Mastery, Door Systems and Interactive Portals. Previously, we finished with our teleporter door. We created a system using a capsule and a root scene component and an arrow. We actually just needed the arrow, but we have the capsule to see the collision of our player and the root component to move it all along. Now, we use this arrow to get the transform that we broke to the three vectors and use the location and rotation to use the teleport node for destination and rotation destination. And then we play the sound. And all these were triggered by the overlap of the box of the teleporter. That's pretty much it. Now it's time to create the physics door. We're going to go to our folder doors. We're going to right click, we're going to create a new blueprint class of type actor. I'm going to call it pp physics door. And we're going to open it. Now, for this blueprint, we're going to need two static meshes. And let's select the meshes. Actually, it's just one. It's going to be populating both. And we will just rotate one of them. And move it a bit. These doors should not be touching. Let's move them to the center of the blueprint a little bit. They should have a gap between them because since they're going to be physics door, it's going to be bugging it out if they're touching. Now, let's compile and save. And let's bring our actor into the world. I think it needs a little bit moving. Somewhere here. All right. The next thing we'll do is go enable physics to these items. So I'm going to select them both. I'm going to go to the physics tab. Where is the physics tab? And here it is. And select simulate physics. But that is not gonna help us a lot. Because if I go and play now, we can see they're just bumping around. This is not a door, this is just rubble. So it's not what we want. Thankfully, there is something called physics constraint, which is what we will be using now. The tooltip says this is effectively a joint that allows you to connect two rigid bodies together. You can create different types of joints using the various parameters of this component. Okay, the keyword word here is it creates like something like a joint, like a hinge. It allows us to control the rotation and the movement limits, such as mechanical arms, for example, or ragdoll behavior in more advanced. But for us, we will just use it to set the limits to create a dynamic door. So let's continue with how do we use physics constraint. First of all, we need to name the doors. And then we're going to need two physics constraints. So we're going to have one, let's add an arrow so we know where front is. Okay, so front of the blueprint is this way, but we really don't care about that. We're just going to rotate the arrow and unparent it from the static mesh. Just going to rotate this. All right, and call this door L, and this one door R. So this would be constraint L, and this would be constraint R. and compile. Okay, they're opposite in order, but doesn't matter. What we're gonna do is select the first physics constraint. I'm gonna go down to its settings and say component one name. Here we're gonna use the door L. Make sure that this door L is exactly the same as this one, no extra spaces. Capitalization might be important, I'm not really sure, because if it's not, it will not work. Now, as you can see, it has already taken the shape of our door. Basically, it shows us the bounds of the mesh, but it shows us also with this line over here that where our pivot is. So we're gonna move this to this corner over here, and this is our pivot. The next thing we see is these round circles around the pivot point, which we should move a little bit further here. Okay. Now, what are these circles? Well, let's go below and we will see some angular limits. Now, for us, we only need one motion, so we will lock the second one and we will lock the twist also. We only want it to be on this rotation, and we're gonna set the first rotation with a limit, and the limit would be 90 because 45 is a little bit small. And you can see it shows us the limits of the rotation. Now we're gonna do the same for door R. Let's move this over here. Let's go name door R. Let's set this to locked, and this one to limit, and 90. But it is opposite. We do need to rotate it. Oops, okay. And let's rotate it 180. So let's go test it. It's not gonna work perfectly, but it's a good start. Let's bring the character here, and we are passing through, and the door is flipping around like crazy. Now, there is plenty of options to fix this. We will toy with a few simple settings. For example, first we have to fix one setting. Over here, we have I'm gonna select both. We have the angular motor, which we have the angular drive motor. It's using slurp right now, which is, as it describes, a lerp between the current and velocity and the target orientation. But what we want is a twist and swing, which will decompose the path a little bit. So the next thing we will do is select each of the doors and go to the physics settings, and we will enable mass. We will make them a mass of 80. You can play around with the values, and we will increase angular dampening also. This will hopefully fix a little bit the swinging. All right. Now the only problem is that they are left like this. They do not return to their original position. So this should have been fixed by the swing and twist, but probably, yes, I didn't click the swing option, so it doesn't have a target orientation, because the swing and twist makes it have a target orientation. It means where am I trying to return to? We could play with target velocity and everything, but this is what we need to make them return into the same position. So I'm going to compile and save and press play. And it opens and returns to the same position. Now you could play a little bit with the values, make it more realistic. I don't know. When there are two doors, it brings a little bit of, depending on the player speed also, force, but I think it's fine. Like one door is too easy. No, one door is fine. Two doors are a little bit too hard. So this will be it for the physics door. We're gonna see you on the next lesson that we will do the teleport to another level. Goodbye for now.